Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for another important episode for my preseason content. Now I just recorded players to draft, and now I'm going to be recording players to avoid in your drafts. And in my opinion, there's no player that you have to avoid 100%. It's just players that you avoid at the ADP that they're currently going at, right? You don't have to avoid players altogether. Like if I say a player is going too early, but he falls way later than that ADP, well, then he still might end up being a good pick. It just has the ADP that they're listed at right now in Yahoo that I don't like, and that's what this video is all about. Before we jump into it, guys, leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you've already drafted and you want your team rated, I'm going to be doing a rate your team video as I always do every single preseason. So if you want your team rated, take a picture of it and post it in the Discord group, Rate My Team, and I'll take a whole bunch of teams from there and I'll put them in the video. And guys, if you do want to take that support to the next level, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. You get my full draft rankings there. You get to DM with me one-on-one, ask me any questions you want, and I answer pretty quickly. And then you also get early access videos because I often upload videos earlier than they actually go live. And without further ado, let's jump into this video and let's take a look at some forwards that you should consider avoiding. Then we're going to take a look at defensemen and then goalies. For forwards, we got Matthew Tkachuk with an ADP of 19. Now, Matthew Tkachuk has been confirmed to be missing till at least December and probably January. Realistically, he may only come back after the Olympic break. Taking him at 19 overall is really, really stupid. Like, you're seriously sacrificing potentially a lot of wins for your team to take a guy who may not play till the second half of the season. That's not worth it, guys. Let him slide quite a bit. If he goes past maybe pick 75 or so, then I might take a flyer on him. But this early, it's not worth it. Then I have Robert Thomas. And he's going at an ADP of 40, which is really, really early for Robert Thomas. The dude's an absolute stud, and he could be over a point per game like he was last year when he scored 81 points in 70 games. The problem is, and there's actually two problems, is one, that he's a natural center, and there are just so many good natural centers late in your draft. And the second problem is, he doesn't really put up any peripherals. He doesn't shoot that much, he doesn't really block much, and he doesn't hit. So unless you're in a pure points league, I would definitely avoid him at this ADP. If you are in a pure points league, this ADP is actually pretty good for Robert Thomas, but that's really the only case where I'm drafting him up here. And he's got to fall quite a bit for me to want to take him, especially since there are so many good natural centers late in the draft. I don't like taking them early. It's the same kind of thing with Sebastian Aho. He's often overvalued. Now, an ADP of 62.5 isn't too much of an overvaluing, but again, natural centers are so easy to find later in the draft. Why take one that is being a little bit overvalued when you can take guys who are being way undervalued later in the draft? I don't think it's a disaster if you end up drafting Sebastian Aho this early, but you're potentially not having room for really good draft steals later in the draft because you filled up your top two center slots early. I love Sebastian Aho as a player. He's literally, I think, my favorite player in the NHL, but unfortunately, I don't think he's a good draft pick. On defense, first up is Lane Hutson. And I absolutely love Lane Hutson. I was literally at the draft when the Habs drafted him, and I was jumping up and down and screaming with joy. I love the kid and have loved him for a long time. The problem is he's just going way too early in drafts. He was amazing in his rookie campaign last year, winning the Calder with 66 points in 82 games as a defenseman, just amazing. But only 1.1 shots per game, 1.5 blocks per game on average, and 0.5 hits per game. Those are not good peripherals, and he's going to have to start shooting, blocking, and hitting quite a bit more if he wants to hit the value that is this ADP. Yeah, he could score more points this year, but Man, those peripherals are really, really lacking. I'd avoid him at this ADP. Even if you're a big fan of him like I am, I'd let him slide over here. Let somebody else take him. The only time that I like this ADP is if you are in a pure points league and peripherals aren't a thing. Next, Dougie Hamilton at 73.0. Dougie Hamilton is a guy that just scares me a lot, right? He has a reputation for getting injured like every single season. And even though he's probably going to start power play 1 in New Jersey, the injury factor just, I can't draft him that early. Like, he's almost for sure going to miss time, and drafting him that early just doesn't make any sense. And also there's the Luke Hughes factor too, right? Luke Hughes is a really good defenseman, and if he plays really well, he could end up taking Dougie Hamilton's spot on the top power play. And then suddenly Hamilton has no value at all. For these reasons, I'm avoiding him. He could end up being good value here. He's just too risky for me this early. Next, I have Miro Heiskanen, and I am incredibly low on Miro Heiskanen this year. With the emergence of Thomas Harley, it's pretty much guaranteed that Harley is going to be getting that top power play time in Dallas. If he does, Heiskanen is relegated to nothing but power play 2 time. And don't get me wrong, Dallas is a great team, so their power play 2 may not be too bad, but Heiskanen's peripherals are really not that good. So if he's not playing power play 1 and putting up those points, and he's not putting up great peripherals, what is he doing? He may be able to put up 40 points, but without decent peripherals to back that up, I'm really not high on Heiskanen this year, and at an ADP of 80, that's absolutely insane. Let somebody else take him at that ADP. My next defenseman is Luke Hughes, going in an ADP of 97.5. That ADP is crazy. I don't even have him inside my top 50 defensemen. If you watched that video, you didn't see Luke Hughes. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a good chance that he does finish as a top 50 defenseman. But drafting him inside the top 100 is such a huge reach. He puts up points when he gets power play 1 time, but that's not guaranteed with Dougie Hamilton still on the team. And his peripherals, much like Lane Hudson, are really, really not good. He doesn't really put up any peripherals, and that really does hurt his value, so drafting him this early doesn't make a lot of sense. There are so many good defensemen going later than him that are much better value. I may get a little bit of hate for this one, but the next player is Cam Fowler, going at ADP of 129.0. And do I hate Fowler this season by any means? No. He probably does get power play 1 at least to start the year in St. Louis. And last year he did pretty well in St. Louis, scoring 36 points in 51 games after being traded there. What bothers me about him is his peripherals, once again guys, are horrible. Only 1.4 shots per game, actually less than 1.4 shots per game, 1.1 blocks per game, and almost 0 hits at all isn't exactly great. Basically, if he doesn't score a point on any given night, he is absolute garbage for your team. Which is why I cannot for the life of me justify the ADP that he's currently going at unless you're in a pure points league. At that range, if peripherals are valuable in your league, I'd much rather go for his teammate Colton Parayko, who's going at an ADP actually later than that of 142.3, and he's going to put up a safe floor of all the peripherals as well as points. That being said though, if he slides well past this ADP to the point where all the defensemen left are pretty thin, then I'd consider taking him. And my final defenseman is Brock Faber, and I could not understand for the life of me why 65% of you are drafting Brock Faber. Did you guys not hear about a prospect called Zeev Buem? Yeah, he is really good. And Brock Faber, even last year, when they didn't have Zeev Buem, was not manning the power play 1 for a lot of the season. When Jared Spurgeon was healthy, it was Jared Spurgeon that was manning the power play 1 for a good amount of the year. So Brock Faber, now that they have Zeev Buem, is definitely not going to get that power play 1 spot. And his peripherals are not really good enough to really be fantasy viable. Maybe if you're in an ultra deep league, He's fantasy valuable, maybe ownable in 10% of leagues if you're in a really, really deep league. But yeah, I'm definitely taking a pass on him at 153 ADP. And the same range, you can get Thomas Chabot, who's being super undervalued right now. Now, this was tough since I don't absolutely hate any goalies' ADPs this year. The first goalie on the list is Philip Gustafsson, going at ADP of in the 50s. And Gustafsson may end up paying off his ADP, and we may not have anything to worry about. But I'm trying to find guys that might not hit their ADP. And by all means, if you drafted Gustafsson already, you're probably okay. But I'm just looking at data, and there's a little bit of reason to worry. Now, he has not been the most consistent goalie throughout his career. With the limited data that we have, it seems like every second season, he has an off year. Now, he started his career in Ottawa in 2020-2021, only playing 9 games, but with a .933 save percentage. The following season, he played 18 games and didn't do well, an .892 save percentage. The following year was traded to Minnesota, did great in 39 games, had a .931 save percentage, and then everybody jumped on the Gustafsson train for the following fantasy season, where he posted a bit of a dud season with an .899 save percentage. And then last year, he bounced back with a .914 save percentage and 31 wins in 58 games. Now, he is the full-time starter in Minnesota, so I wouldn't be too worried about Wallstedt taking his spot. But if he has another down year like he seems to be trending to be doing throughout his career, you could end up seeing Wallstedt get more and more starts. Now, I like Gustafsson, and I wish well on him, and I hope he has a great season. But there's a chance that he has another down year, and just because of his inconsistency is why I'm a little bit hesitant to draft him where he's currently being drafted. The saving grace here, though, is that Gustafsson is actually a pending unrestricted free agent. So, this being a contract year, he should be extra motivated to put together another fantastic season like he did last year. So hopefully that materializes and we have nothing to worry about. I'm just exercising a little bit of caution. He's definitely not the worst pick, but he is going quite early, and there were a lot of quality goalies going much later in drafts. In his range, you can get a stud like Adrian Kempe, Cole Caulfield, or even Moritz Seider, who I all prefer over Gustafsson. And the final player and second goalie that I'm going to talk about is Logan Thompson of the Washington Capitals. Now, his ADP is really high, 73.9. And if it's a categories league, this ADP might be okay, depending how early goalies go in your league. Because if you're in a categories league that really just looks at save percentage and saves and wins, Logan Thompson may do a lot of those things. He's just not going to start that many games because Charlie Lindgren gets just about every second start or so in Washington. In a points league, though, it's a strict avoid for me at this ADP. 1, because he does split starts, and 2, because I'm not expecting Washington to be nearly as good this year. The whole team had something to rally around last year, which was Ovechkin's goal record. They don't have that this year, and I don't really think that team is talented enough to do what they did last year. They finished first place last year in the Eastern Conference, and I just don't see them doing that again. They could still be a fringe playoff team, but they're not going to win nearly as many games, and I don't think Logan Thompson has this much value. He's an avoid for me. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content today, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And do be sure to join the Fantasy Tip Discord down below. The link's right there. And I'll catch you all in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.